I've never done one of these videos before, but I figured it'd be cool for the channel and help people new hunters as they come up. And I'm not saying that hunting is a bad thing in the world. Hunting is the greatest thing in the world. And it's how you let others treat you when it comes to hunting, and it's how that you want to live your life coming into hunting. Hunting can be the worst thing in the world, but it can also be the greatest thing in the world, with shared experiences with friends and family and learning different things, being outdoors, being outside, just getting, healthy with scouting and walking and hiking and learning, how to hunt and different animals and things like that. But I'm gonna give you 6 things that I've learned over the past 23 years of hunting. And number 1 is, don't let people use and abuse you, because it will happen. For an example, say you get a new piece of property, permission to hunt on. Next thing you know, people that you haven't heard from is all of a sudden contacting you, trying to be friends with you again to get permission to hunt your property. Because let's face it, private property is hard to come by. There's some people that's content with hunting, public land, but let's face it, we all want to hunt private land, but it comes at a cost. People work extra hours and do different things to be able to earn extra income to be able to get that private piece, whether you're going at it alone or you are going in on it with a friend where you guys are splitting it 50-50, or you have 4 people, you're each going in 25% on the cost of the property. And that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. I've been in both situations where you go in on half on a property, and then all of a sudden you have different ideas on how you want to hunt it or how you want to manage it, things like that. It's hard to come to terms and agreements on certain things like that, and that's okay, as long as in the end you're still friends, and you can come to a situation where you all have agreeing on the same thing. But I've also had situations where I get property and then all of a sudden I hear from people I don't hear from wanting to hunt it, and to me that's not a friend. I get it, they're excited you have a piece of property and they want to get in on it, but that's not a true friend. A true friend is there for you all the time. They want to talk to you all the time, and not just when it's convenient. And that goes the same for anything in life. If you're only there when it's convenient for somebody, that's not a true friend. True friend's always there to talk to, always there to help you. And that goes with hunting. Don't let people use you. It's okay to have friends that you guys hunt together, but you have to see that for what it is and realize when somebody is actually using you. Number 2 is, don't let trespassers walk all over you. We live in a world now where it's completely different than when it was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Back then, I've come to terms with people who used to think that they can go anywhere. That's how it used to be. You could go anywhere you wanted. Well, nowadays it's more private. You have private land. You have people that own land, and they want privacy. They want to hunt alone. They want their land to themselves. That's the purpose of buying land, of having private land. It's private. It's yours. You don't want people walking all through your land, disrupting your hunt. And let's face it, if a trespasser is going to trespass on your land, most likely he's going to steal stuff. I've experienced all of that over the past 22 years, where people are not honest. They steal from you. They take things that's not theirs because they're too lazy to work for it themselves. I've experienced that over the past several years, of people stealing stuff, trespassing, trying to get away with it, busting your stuff up, stealing your stuff. I've experienced all of that. And it's how you deal with it. You can let them continue to do it, or you can actually move forward and press charges on them, make it stop. I've done that, and it comes to an end quickly. But don't let them ruin your hunt and give them a pass. I used to do that all the time. I'd give people a pass. Hey, just don't come back here. I'm not going to report you, whatever, and they continue to do it. They see it as a free pass, and they continue to do it because they know you're not going to press charges. Once you start pressing charges, it goes away very quickly. Number 3 is, just because you plant a food plot doesn't mean you'll have a good hunt. A lot of people think that just because they plant a food plot, it's going to be attractive, and no matter what you do, deer are going to come to that food plot. And it may be true. Sometimes, some areas, you can get away with doing anything you want, and people still end up killing that big buck. But in the majority of cases, when you plant a food plot, it could be the worst thing in the world, or it could be the best thing in the world. It could be the worst thing in the world because you put that food plot in thinking that you can do whatever you want else on your land, and the deer are still going to eat it. Well, you still have to consider, how you're going to hunt that, how you're going to get to it, how you're going to get out of it, how are you not going to pressure the deer, spook deer off of it. When you start doing that, you can repel more deer than you attract. You still have to be cautious. The person that puts in a food plot has adequate cover and no pressure on their land is the person that's going to have the daylight deer. They're still going to hit it at nighttime, of course, but you want deer on your land during the daytime, and you want deer on your food plot during the day. If they're there at nighttime, it does you no good. So to have a food plot can be great. It could be some of the best hunting ever, but it could also ruin your entire property, so be careful with that. 4 is you can meet amazing people along the way. Over the course of 22 years, I've met some good friends, some that I still talk to and some that I don't. That's just the way that it goes. But when you get into hunting, you can meet very cool people, new opportunities can open up, and with that said too, it can also be a bad thing. You can meet people that try to ruin your life or destroy your reputation or whatever it is. It could be a bad thing as well. But the majority of cases it's a very good thing. You meet good people, and they try to help you, help benefit you, and can help push you along, and you should do the same for them as well. It's the same with any kind of relationship that you have, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. You always want to encourage that person to do better and become a better person. It's the same with hunting friends. That person wants you to become a better hunter, or you want them to become a better hunter, or you share good experiences with. Majority of cases, most people are good in that way, and you can meet good people. Number 5 is private land is harder to come by, say, than it was 5 years ago. It's becoming, in a way, a rich man's sport to deer hunt. If you're content with hunting public land, there's tons of public land out there, and it can be a great thing as well. For me, I'm not so much into public land hunting anymore. I used to be, but I would rather work extra hours, do extra jobs to be able to have money to get private land. I like private land. I like hunting private land. Back years ago, when I was, I was just starting to drive, 16, 17, 18, even into my mid-20s, it was so easy to get private land. I could knock on the door and get private land free of charge. Now it costs you money. You have to pay, whether it's $1,000, $15, $2, $3, $4, $5,000 to hunt a chunk of private land. But to me, it's worth it. That's what I want to do. I want to plant food plots. I want to improve the habitat. I want to have my own piece of land to hunt, and it comes at a cost. Like I said, years ago, it was extremely easy. Nowadays, like I mentioned earlier in the video, you can get a couple buddies together and you can go in half or split it, quarter it up. You have 4 people, on 100 acres or something, 150 acres, you guys can split the cost, and it's not that much. It doesn't cost that much to have a piece if you do it that way. And with the cost of everything nowadays, with gas and the economy and inflation and all this stuff, it becomes even harder to find private land because you're paying for everything else. So it's harder to come by money these days to be able to find a piece of private land. But they're still out there. There's websites that can search for you, and you can find private land on those, and they work very well. Number 6 is I've learned that things that I was taught 25 years ago are not true today. As you get older and you hunt and you learn, you realize that sometimes people say things out of the blue because that's what they were taught, and it's completely not true. And I give this example all the time, and there's many more out there. 20 years ago, I used to hunt with outfitters. I shouldn't say I used to hunt with outfitters. I've hunted like twice, 2 or 3 times, I think, with an outfitter. Back then, 22 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. Regardless, back then, the October law was always brought up because it was in magazines. They sell moon guides that relate to it. They sell all these different types of articles and trying to get you to buy into the October law because they're selling stuff. They can make money off of people that believe it. Magazines, moon guides, and all these different types of gadgets to use to work around the October law. Back then, I was in deer camp into the outfitter, and everybody's like, oh man, it's hot, the deer aren't going to move, it's the October law, it's early October, the deer just don't move. Well, back then I'm like, really? The deer must know when it's October, and they just stop moving. And nothing could be further from the truth. I've had several videos on this in the past that have done very well, but the October lull is not real. It's something that we actually create by overpressuring the land. It's a time of year where food sources are changing because acorns are dropping, crops are being cut, and deer just transition to different areas of the property, different areas of the farm, wherever you're at. They transition food sources, and we overpressure in the land. Hunting starts, whether it's in September, October. That's when the pressure starts. People entering the woods. What happens? You push deer off the land. You make the deer go nocturnal on your land. They're daytime somewhere. You know, they have to eat 3, 4, 5 times a day, and that's, back in the day, that's what people believed because it was pushed upon us. And you know, especially with the outfitter, they have to have an excuse when people aren't seeing deer. So they're sending you all these photos, you know, during the spring and summer of deer hitting the food plots, and you know, all these different types of trails, you know, where the trail cameras are. They're sending you all these pictures of monster bucks. All of a sudden you arrive in October 1st, and then they're like, yeah, look at these pictures of the deer, and all these great bucks. And then 2 days later in camp, they're saying, I'm sorry guys, it's the October lull, we're just not seeing deer. No, it's because you have hunters now in the woods, and they just disrupted all the natural deer activity, and you just pushed the deer off your property and made them nocturnal. That's what happens. The October lull is not real. It's something that we actually create. Any questions about this video? Comment down below. Let me know in the comments below what you guys have learned over the years of your hunting, whether it's things you learned 20 years ago, 10 years ago that aren't true today, or your experiences with hunting. Let me know what you guys have learned over the years.